All right. Try number 3. Matt,
All right.
what show is this?
We are animatronic dinosaurs. Allie Rose and Matt Peters. Not cranberry juice cocktail.
Whoop. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Hey, it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. All right.
Tomorrow's May.
Today's May.
Today's May?
Today is May.
All
All
right,
right, there we
that's
go.
why.
Both of our mics are now on.
Today's May.
All right, today is obviously May, and we have some thriller movies to talk about today, don't we, Matt?
Yeah, that's a big category.
It is definitely a very big category, but like I think the biggest thing I like to talk about, which is a question that's come up and kind of plagued me this entire week, is what is a thriller movie?
It could be anything like, cringe on the spine, thriller, but, I think for me personally, there's got to be some sort of like illegal heist or murder going on.
Like a lot of thing is what separates a horror movie from a thriller movie.
Yeah, a thriller, it's less like gory. It's more about like someone being chased, someone's hiding a secret, someone's trying to find the secret. That's a thriller.
It doesn't really rely on scariness or jump scares. I mean,
a horror film, that's not a thriller.
Because like a lot of people I know, when I say, "Oh, let's watch this thriller movie," they go, "I don't like horror movies," and I go, "It's not a horror movie."
Nope.
Because I mean, I'm a big horror movie fan, but there is a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think I saw my share of thriller movies over the last week.
Maybe, Silence of the Lambs sort of like grade that area because that's a movie that some people are like, it's horror because the guy's so psychotic, but that's a thriller.
It definitely is a thriller.
It's not a horror.
It kind of tilts into that psychological thriller idea. It's kind of overarching field, and it kind of overlaps both. I feel like while it's both kind of the horror movie for people who don't like horror movies, but on the other hand, it's like I get more scared by them than I do by horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it's real.
Yeah, they're believable.
It's characters. It's not action.
And some of these are actually based off of true stories, much more believable true stories than when you see like The Conjuring is based off of a true story.
Oh, yeah.
Or like Amityville Horror is based off a true story. But like then you hear something like the Zodiac is based off a true story. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, the Conjuring's interesting because, like, to me, that's a horror. But that's one that's the gray area. I would
keep Conjuring fully as a horror movie, though.
I could see people say that's a thriller, but it is a horror movie to me.
Like, I feel very few thrillers really cross into the supernatural boundary. They're mostly all like, okay, this is grounded in the real world. Whereas, like, the Conjuring's like, there's supernatural stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like, maybe that's kind of a separation of the two. It's like, okay, it could be like this supernatural kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, what would you say are kind of like the main things for a thriller movie? What are the big aspects of it?
The big aspects, I'd say conflict, like chase, someone trying to find someone, trying to find out a secret, someone's hiding, something like that. Like where someone's just internally different than how people perceive them.
Yeah, like kind of like would you say that most thrillers have like a twist in them?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's like something
There's a train ride, and like at one point you go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Something finds out.
Would you say this idea of that most thrillers have a twist kind of make it so that every time you watch one, you're expecting this giant twist? Like, kind of what
No, that happens.
bogged down them Night Shyamalan movies. It's like, okay, well, there's going to be this giant twist. I see dead people, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it definitely wears down at points. And the best filmmakers are the ones who hide it subtly or make it so late that you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. Then it happens. And you're like, well, he duped me. I was wrong. But I'm going to enjoy it anyway.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, there are definitely some that there's a lot of thrillers that do fall flat or that try to be stuff like, what was that one? I think it was 2 years ago with, it was called The Boy Next Door. It was with,
Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah. Like stuff like that just falls completely flat.
Well, it came off silly, I heard.
Yeah. And I think that it takes a certain director to make a thriller. I think one of the best examples recently was The Gift.
Yeah, The Gift was good.
The Gift was like, it was very shocking, and Joel Edgerton did a great job with just the way
he wrote it, directed, acted.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, like a good writer is definitely
that was a good movie.
Need.
That was a creepy movie.
And I think maybe the creepiness of it kind of pushes people away.
I enjoyed it.
Definitely. So, what would you say is something that is the definitive, like, not, we're going to get into the top 5, but like, what would you say just kind of like, maybe not the best, but kind of like the definitive thriller movie? Like, if someone said, describe the genre in one movie, what would you say?
I'd go Psycho.
Psycho.
I mean, that's the classic thriller. You got, it's also psychological thriller, which, you could also say modernized it, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I already mentioned.
Oscar winner right there.
So like those kind. Psycho was the one who, defined it, and made the characters like creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
And Hitchcock's direction really made it tense.
And Hitchcock really kind of, in a way, he kind of pioneered the thriller with stuff like Rope and Rear Window and stuff like that. And he kind of pioneered this, what would then become stuff that directors like Dave, I can't remember his name. Not David Lynch, but I don't know. The guy.
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, yeah. I can't remember his name when he's like one of my favorite directors out there.
That's great.
And I think like, and it's an interesting thing that so many thrillers like really stick with people. Like people will see stuff like a drama movie like Titanic or stuff like that, but when people see Gone Girl, it really sticks with them and they remember it for a long time.
Yeah, Gone Girl's something that like makes people not want to get married. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like this, but like they stick and they sit under people's skin. And I think like I've seen so many horror movies, but nothing really sits with me like a good thriller, like Shutter Island or Seven. These are like movies that
you remember them.
Yeah, they're really memorable, and I think it's interesting that there's stuff that so many people watch. Like everyone can sit down and see a good thriller, and everyone will be shocked by it. But there's kind of like there's still that boundary keeping people away from horror movies.
Yeah.
So I think the thriller is a very interesting, to say the least, category of movies, and I think there are some that I feel personally are given that title of thriller, which aren't really like Inception. I watched yesterday. Didn't really feel as that much of a thriller.
No, I didn't. It's like a sci-fi.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'd consider it more of an action movie, maybe an action thriller.
It is action.
It kind of tilts in the end. It's got that like crazy.
Yeah,
like,
that's like a blockbuster film.
Yeah,
thrillers to me usually they don't have that big special effects and everything.
But I feel like that they do manage to get like a decent budget to it. They're not stuff that like people will you can't just throw down and easily write a thriller.
You need great actors to do a thriller. And I guess that's where a lot of the budget comes in, because you got to give them millions.
And what would you say are the best actors in thrillers these days? Like not necessarily the bad guys in the thrillers, but like just in general, like ones you see that really are like, he's in this movie, creepy. See it.
I don't know. Steve Buscemi's like always
definitely
crazy. I don't know.
Well,
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. I mean, he hasn't really done anything, I don't think, since. But he created that pretty much. I mean, he didn't create it as a real story, but like he defined that character of Hannibal Lecter, which is just one of the best characters on screen ever. Kind of that pseudo villain. Like
Do you have a definitive actor?
Definitive actor, I would put down. I don't think he was like he stands out in it, but like when you see him in it, I think Ben Affleck is like kind of the definitive when it comes to Ben Affleck's in this thriller, like Gone Girl, Argo, both really good thrillers, and it's like, okay, he's in it, I'll go see it.
The Town.
Yeah, he probably won't be the best part of it, but it will be good.
Yeah, he's the anchor.
All right, well, that will segue into us talking about the top 5 we think thriller movies are.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see this because I think, as we just talked about, the thriller is kind of a gray area with what it is. So I'm kind of curious to see what yours are. So let's start with some honorable mentions.
It was a rough list to
Agreed.
make. My one honorable mention is Gone Girl.
Same here.
I couldn't get into my top 5, but I wanted to. It was one of those movies I saw 3 times in theaters.
Jeez.
I just loved it. Rosamund Pike, that was like one of the best
she was incredible in
performances I've seen in a long time. That has twists and turns, that movie, that like I did not expect the first time. They just snuck up on me because you knew something was up. So you're like just thinking about it. But the way it plays out, it's like...
And then it hits and you just kind of go... And like when it first hits, you're like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But this is only halfway through the movie.
And David Fincher's the director.
David Fincher's that one.
So stylish. Just the way, there's certain scenes like the bed scene, like if you've seen it, that the way it's shot makes it that much more.
And you said David Fincher. David Fincher, I think, is one of the best thriller directors that is out there. He's been so consistent with it.
And it's one of those movies that the screenplay was written by the woman who wrote the book.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot more, character development, knew the characters because she created them all. So
yeah, and I think like that movie, I didn't see it till recently, actually. I never saw it in theaters, but I heard so much good stuff about it. And I think people were saying how they were upset about how it didn't really get any Oscar buzz when it should have deserved it.
Yeah, I thought her performance, she was nominated, I think, but I thought she should have had more traction.
Which is funny because I think both yes and no that thrillers get Oscar appreciation. Yeah. Like Argo won Best Picture, but The Gift saw nothing last year. And I think that's like, it's interesting because like, Silence of the Lambs won Best Picture, but for every like thriller that won a really big award, there's one that didn't.
True.
And so I think it's a very interesting thing. Their relationship with the Oscars is very kind of give and take.
All right, what are your honorable mentions?
I have a decent amount, so let me know if any of these are on your list. So Gone Girl, we already talked about. Donnie Darko on your list?
No.
Donnie Darko's
I like it.
great. Twist is very confusing.
Yeah,
I would say
very
like
confusing.
when
You have to like read up on it afterwards, and it's just
but like
that
reading
annoyed
up
me.
on it. Wow, like what they were going with that. Also, another there you go. That's what I wanted to say. Not Ben Affleck. You know when Jake Gyllenhaal is in a thriller.
He's a thriller. Oh my god. The what was the one?
We'll talk about it. It's on my list. I know what you're thinking about. Though.
Oh my god.
But like, yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. You know he's in a good thriller. Zodiac, is that on your list?
Zodiac is not on my list.
Zodiac.
Gyllenhaal. He's the definitive thriller.
He is the definitive thriller
He
actor.
is so good. He's just so committed.
He changes who he is all the time.
I respect the crap out of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's fantastic. He doesn't get enough credit. I feel like he should be in the discussion with DiCaprio about those like A-list top guys. He just doesn't draw as much for some reason.
And I feel like bad because my first kind of delve into Jake Gyllenhaal was Prince of Persia: The Sands of Times, which is the worst movie he's made.
Yep.
And I think that
was also the bit most budget, and now he's staying away from those and doing the indie ones because of that.
That's great. Like Southpaw, like from what I heard about Southpaw, like
it wasn't good, but he was committed.
Yeah, and he's like every single time he does this, and like I mean, we'll talk about this movie, but like this movie we're gonna talk about, like he should have won the Oscar for it. There's no reason why that was
fantastic.
And Argo on mine honorable mentions. Is that on your list?
No.
Argo was one of those ones I saw in theater. I think one of the first R-rated movies I saw in theater.
Oh yeah.
Twisty.
It was just such a well-made movie.
Yeah. It's when that's like that movie is that and The Town, or when people say Ben Affleck's directing a Batman movie is when I go, oh my gosh, yes, please give this to me. He's a great actor and director.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and then Prisoners. Have you seen this?
No. The Hugh Jackman.
That movie is one that is almost impossible to watch. It is so like disturbing.
No, I heard it just I stayed away from it because
it is so incredibly disturbing. It is not parents should not watch this. It is one of those ones that it sees people push their absolute limit. I mean, if you want to see it, see it.
Is there a bowling alley scene in that?
There is not.
There's not. Okay.
But there is some scenes in it. There's some torture in it. It is it is one of those ones that makes you just kind of sink into your chest and think about for a really long time. And I just watched it actually like last weekend, and wow, it sucked. It stuck with me.
I have one more honorable mention. Rear Window.
Rear Window, yes.
I tried to get a Hitchcock on my top 5, but that's my favorite, and I just couldn't. But James Stewart in that,
great movie.
He's one of the best actors of all time. So.
Definitely, and I think like we said earlier, Hitchcock kind of defines what thrillers are.
It's a movie shot the entirety from a window. It's
great,
crazy, and it works.
And I think he like pioneered that crazy thing, like the movie we watched in film class, Rope. Rope's supposed to be one of those ones like Birdman. Birdman learned from Rope. Rope was one of those ones that was tried to shot completely all at one take. And the thing was, Birdman, you see like there's all these like little things. That that's a cut. Not Rear Window. Rope has almost none.
Oh yeah.
Like you see the ones. Oh, it zooms into his back. That's obviously a cut. They did that twice in the movie.
No, yeah, they make it
like he actually committed himself to shooting
being an actor on that.
Oh my gosh. And like even so, like when we delve into that, like Rope has stuff about homosexuality not being something that was cool during that time and stuff like it's got so much subcontext, and the fact that he did that about a movie of two guys killing a guy and then hiding it in plain sight in front of all these cast of characters. It's just Hitchcock knew how to make a thriller.
He did.
All right, so what is your number 5?
My number 5 is one of the first thrillers I saw, Memento.
Oh my gosh, do not spoil it for me. I have not seen it.
You haven't seen it? Oh,
I've rented Memento from the library.
Right, well, there's not much I can say because you got to go into this movie blind.
Also, I don't want to spoil. I know one of the spoilers. I don't want to tell anybody of our viewers who have not.
No, I'm not going to say much. Just Memento, Christopher Nolan's second full-length movie. It was a short by his brother, Jonathan Nolan, and then they made it a full-length. Guy Pearce is the star. He's fantastic. It's a very hard character to play. Do it believable.
And Christopher Nolan, when it comes to thriller movies, whew, you know he's going to do good.
Talk about editing. This movie has the best editing of any movie I've ever seen. And that says a lot. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
But when you see it, you'll be like, how'd they make this?
Especially for a movie of like an up and coming director that he managed to do this. It's why nowadays when someone says there's a Christopher Nolan movie, that like studios will give Christopher Nolan whatever he wants to make his movies. Like Interstellar, yes, it has its problems, but like I just watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Interstellar is such a pays so much homage to that, and it's like, yeah, Interstellar has its problems, but I will still go see any Christopher Nolan movie that comes out.
Yeah.
And Inception was robbed from the Oscar. It was. We were watching it yesterday. And it's like, why'd The King's Speech win over Inception?
I don't know, man. They just love British people.
We studied Inception in my like ethics class in junior year of high school. That's how good that movie is.
Oh yeah.
All right, my number 5 is the movie we were talking about earlier, Nightcrawler. Is it higher up for you or low?
It's next. It's number 4.
Okay, so we'll talk about it in this big thing.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler was one of those ones I did not expect to be that good.
You go in there like, all right, Jake Gyllenhaal drama, and then it's just this ride of the characters.
Just like, it is one of like, I've never seen a character that impressive.
He never stops to get what he wants, and he always gets what he wants. And you just root for the guy, even though
he's evil.
But there's just something about Gyllenhaal that he's so charismatic on screen.
And I would say that is his best performance.
Oh yeah,
maybe not his best overall movie.
It's my favorite Gyllenhaal movie.
It is so good, and like that was such a powerhouse that came out of nowhere. Like me and my dad saw the trailer for it, and we're like, okay, why don't we go see this? And coming out of that theater just with our minds blown. People will be talking about Nightcrawler for a while, and then what the heck? The Oscars don't give it anything.
Yeah, it was written and directed by the same guy, Dan Gilroy is his name. He did Real Steel.
Oh my gosh.
How did Born Legacy?
Born Legacies.
Nothing like, it's not on the level. So he didn't have a big track record. He probably didn't know many people. Like the Creed movie, that director, that didn't get a lot of steam in the awards. Like, it only got nominated for Stallone. Which is like
ridiculous.
It was only because I guess he's a young guy, no one knows him, and they were just like...
But like, Nightcrawler was one of the best movies. I think it was probably the best movie of that year for me. It was... I need to see it a second time. I've still only seen it once.
I've seen it twice. But
yeah,
that's great.
Definitely an incredible movie.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're on 4 now for me.
For you, yeah.
All right, my number 4 is Seven. Is this higher up on your list?
No, it's not on there.
7 is David Lynch's best movie. 7 is one of the most twisted psychological thrillers ever. It's about Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are these detectives who are tracking down the serial killer who kills his victims in a very interesting way. And the twist at the very end of who the killer is amazing. I don't want to spoil it.
What's in the bag?
Exactly. And that line, everyone makes fun of it, but what the heck, that twist was great. Like, it is so like the breakdown of these detectives and their psychological destruction during this like thing. It's one of those ones also. It's like, I know so many like not David Lynch movies. Why can I keep forgetting his name?
Fincher,
David Fincher movies. All of them, like, they're either like super long or like you really got to get into them. But like this one is like just a like thrill ride. It's non-stopping. It is so fast paced and it is such a good movie. I would recommend 7 for everybody. It is kind of hard to watch. I wouldn't say it was as hard to watch as Gone Girl, but I think it was in multiple ways a better movie than it.
To me, it came off a little silly. I get it, like, the 7, like, it makes sense, 7 deadly sins. But like the way it was handled, I was just like, this is a little dumb. But
have you seen?
Yeah, I fully watched it.
It's like, and it some of it can come off as silly because it's like, oh my gosh,
tomato sauce.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I think that was one of the ones that really brought back my love for the thriller.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Mystic River.
Mystic River. That is not on my list.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen Mystic River.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, this is a performance-heavy movie. You got Sean Penn as the lead actor. He won the Oscar for it. Ooh. He's as good as I've ever seen him in this. Just ruthless, but he's also like human. You can really relate to the guy. Tim Robbins. He's the star, though. His character went through a lot. There's a lot of twists in this.
Okay, don't spoil them for me and our viewers.
It's Clint Eastwood directed.
He's done some good stuff.
There's a lot of classic feel to it. It's Boston, and there's a lot of good Boston movies.
I think with thrillers, the location is a lot of it. Like a lot of the things that really got me into, say, like Zodiac was set in San Francisco, and a lot of like the power of all these, like a Nightcrawler wouldn't be good if it wasn't set in L.A.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon, Lawrence Fishburne's also in the cast.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, it's great. It's a coming of age sort of, and they're like they know each other from when they're little, and then they grow up and just go in different directions, and it's one of those great movies. So Mystic River, if you haven't seen it,
definitely go see Mystic River. All right, my number 3, I'm guessing this is higher up on your list because it might actually not be because you said you didn't have any Hitchcock, is Psycho.
Yeah, it's not on my list. I left it off, but it's,
Psycho is the definition of the
Psycho's
thriller.
Great.
It created that first twist that, I saw it coming because I knew the twist, but like, even so, the fact that you kill a main character with like what everyone thinks is the main character within like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Like that, before that, no one knew.
You have a huge actress who
Yeah.
is the box office draw. And she dies. And then you have a no-name actor who does theater.
There was not a single twist in a movie until this happened. And it blew people away. People were screaming in their seats, and like it just twists people's mind around. And without that movie, there would be no Thriller movie today.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, number 2 for you.
My number 2 is Fargo.
Fargo, such a good movie.
Fargo. It is funny. It is interesting. It is twisty and turny.
It's a Coen Brothers masterpiece.
Yep. You got Frances McDormand as Lundegaard. No, she's the cop, but William H. Macy's Lundegaard, and he's so good. He's really funny. Buscemi.
And those like the Coen Brothers really know how to create great dialogue.
Yeah. This is a great movie.
The
The plot is just fantastic. You can relate because they're normal people.
Then mixing the comedy with like the fact of how ridiculous their accents are.
Minnesota.
And like it's also the same thing with it wouldn't be good if it wasn't set in Fargo and like in Minnesota and North Dakota and this kind of like this like kind of far off kind of land for us, but still is in America. But, like so many of us don't really relate to that, but like it brought into this kind of window of this weird world and like it's such a strong movie.
This is my favorite Coen Brothers movie.
I would agree too. I think it's my favorite. I never saw Hail Caesar.
I mean, Lebowski's pretty damn good.
I'm not a big Lebowski fan.
Oh, it's funny.
I tried watching it. I don't know.
I don't like the dream sequence that everyone loves.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do like the movie. I think it's hilarious.
I would say though Fargo's better. Fargo's like such an all around good movie. Yeah. It's all the scenes in the snow.
Yeah. The ending, like it's great.
All right.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is probably one that you don't know. It's called Jacob's Ladder.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
Jacob's Ladder. I just watched it for the second time with a friend of mine, David. I think it was on Thursday. He didn't really get much of it, but I got it so well the second time around. And wow,
it's not that big movie, right?
It's not that big of a movie, and I can say like it will not make any sense to you the first time you watch it, but seeing it that second time and catching everything, just this destruction of this guy's mind is so good.
Oh, that's Tim Robbins too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a good actor.
He sells this movie, and like it is definitely something that will like. There's just stuff in it, and there is still like there are nitpicks I have with it. Like there's stuff that still doesn't really make sense, but then like just kind of the ending when you start seeing all the stuff like unfold, and it kind of, if you've been paying really close attention, you start seeing all the stuff weave together, and just wow.
Yeah.
It is so like deeply interwoven.
I'll check it out.
Good movie. Check it out twice. Don't see it just once.
Twice.
Otherwise it won't make sense. All right. We're coming up to number 1.
One
is
thriller movie American Psycho.
Oh wow.
Yes. That's a curveball.
Such a good movie.
It's a dark comedy, but
Very dark
I consider
comedy.
it a thriller as well because of that end scene where you don't know what's happening.
And just like that, I mean, even like from that opening scene when he's like describing kind of his routine, like that's just so creepy.
Yep. It is creepy, funny, action. Christian Bale's amazing in it. Like it's so quotable. I have to turn some videotapes. You can't say that anymore, but that's a little disappointing.
It is such a good movie.
It is. I just love it. I laugh.
And I think just like the twists in it, like when you start realizing what's going on, like I don't want to spoil it for anybody, which is kind of a hard thing with this episode. It's like, we don't want to spoil any of these for you.
Yeah. Because we do want to talk about it a lot.
But like there's, the twists in it are fantastic. And I think American Psycho, it's too bad it didn't get made past it was like in the early 90s?
It was 2000.
Okay, so we kind of can say it's a modern classic, which we will talk about later.
It's not for everyone, American Psycho.
Yeah,
like I can see a lot of people, if it's not your taste, you will hate it. You won't get it.
Definitely pushing horror, I think some people can say.
You have to like satirical comedy and
Definitely.
I like it. It's just a play on New York, like the yuppie culture. Like this guy's on Wall Street. He does no work ever, but he goes in all the time and just like sits in his office. I don't know. It's great.
It's great. It is a really good movie. And I think my number 1 is one we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Take a guess.
Oh, I'm blanking, man.
Silence of the Lambs.
That's what.
Silence of the Lambs, another movie that can be considered both a horror movie and a thriller movie, but I think it is the best thriller movie to ever come out.
Yeah.
It is. It puts the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose again.
Well, there you go.
It's so good. I just like, there's a reason that this movie was a Best Picture winner and the only of like definitive kind of a horror movie to get a Best Picture win. And it is one of those ones that even if you aren't a horror movie fan, you should watch it and you'll like it because it's.
I'm pretty sure when it came out, like everyone saw it.
It's
like, it was one of those.
Yeah, and Anthony Hopkins might have put on the best performance of any person I've ever seen.
Ever?
Like, that is one of the greatest performances of all time, at least.
His eyes.
It's so good though. Like it's so memorable to have that, and it's kind of sad that it was kind of whitewashed out with his like sequels of like Hannibal Rising and stuff like that. And I mean, I know those are, like people like those movies, like was it Red Dragon or something? But like The Silence of the Lambs was the definitive thing, and the fact that he wasn't actually the villain, but he kind of was too. Yeah. Like you still had to pay attention to what Hannibal Lecter was doing.
Unlike Seven, this is a smart. Like there's no problems with this script. It is totally. He just dissects everyone he sees, and it's so believable. Yeah, because he's a genius.
And it has and on top of that, it was like challenging gender roles. You have this like Clarice, this FBI female detective who is dealing with lots of in a world of all men who don't really respect her that much, but she's still like she's the one who goes through this. She's the one that Hannibal Lecter wants.
Yeah. It was one of the rare movies where it won Best Lead Actor and Actress. Which rarely ever happens.
And I mean, that's just kind of that's a tribute to how good that movie was.
Yeah. Lead actor and was on there for like, 15 minutes or something like that? He was on screen for barely any time, 20.
Lecter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he made that impact.
Yeah.
Hopkins like makes that movie. You kind of forget about Buffalo Bill sometimes.
Yeah, I know, but I loved Buffalo Bill. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. I never hear anything about Buffalo Bill, but he was amazing.
Yeah. And the fact that you have these two villains that you kind of like, oh, well, they're dealing with Hopkins and like they're dealing with Lecter right now. What's going on with Buffalo Bill? And then you're at Buffalo Bill and it's like we're forgetting about Lecter.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back and forth and wow, it's such a good movie. Mm-hmm. When even like from the start when just Hannibal Lecter just leading Clarice on this like chase.
Yeah.
It would be like David Fincher wouldn't be what he is without
such a chase.
This.
Yeah, he's just manipulating him.
It's good. Such a good movie. All right. We have a lot to talk about today beyond this. So what's next on our agenda? We have some other big things to talk about.
Yeah.
I would say modern classics. This is an interesting thing because I feel like I've thought about this kind of dilemma for a while. Like, what would you consider 2000s onwards a classic movie, like something that we will always remember, like people will never forget, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, remember, or Star Wars?
Well, one sticks out, and that's The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yes, I would agree.
That's above all for me. It was like it defined like the generation for a little bit. Like everyone saw it.
Yeah.
Everyone liked it. Like I never heard anyone saying they didn't like The Dark Knight.
And I think it is one of those ones like people will like I know Ben Affleck's Batman's good and everything, but people will remember what The Dark Knight is forever.
They'll remember it for the Joker a lot too, you know. Heath Ledger. People
will say like people defend Batman 89 and I don't know why, because The Dark Knight is so much more superior of a movie.
Totally.
It is so good, and I think ironically, my pick for what a modern classic would be Inception.
Inception, yeah.
And it's funny that Christopher Nolan made both of those.
Yep.
And it's like those movies are ones that just they will be ones people will always remember.
Yeah, because there's nothing like them, you know.
Yeah.
Like Inception. What's a movie that was on the same scope as that?
And I think people will forget about stuff like the MCU. Like, okay, yeah, it's good, but like the MCU may not hold up because it's just such a grand scale.
And you know they're gonna be popping those out for like years to come, so it's not gonna be that different. And while The Dark Knight, Inception, those are like
it's done, it's sealed.
Yeah,
it's like it's what annoys me about stuff like Ghostbusters that they're bringing it back. It's like that in the Ghostbusters movie and like Caddyshack, those solidify themselves as these movies that are pure and that are so good and that people will always remember them and they will never forget what these movies are. And then Inception and Dark Knight kind of do that too, and it's what keeps people saying, "Oh, what's the next Christopher Nolan movie going to be?"
Yeah,
I would also put, while he did kind of have 90s more, I think that Tarantino also is one of those guys who churns out movies that will stick in people's heads. Like Pulp Fiction, yes, it's a 90s movie, but like that movie is
That's considered a classic now.
Yeah, I mean, people,
long enough.
Everyone who needs to see a movie needs to see Pulp Fiction. And I would agree with everyone who likes movies should see Dark Knight, see Inception. Like, people just need to know what these movies are. And I think that the classic, I think that's kind of sad. Like in the 80s, they turned out classics every single second.
Yeah.
And I think even the 90s, they turned out classics like every year. And we haven't really had that many.
No. Like, you know, there's classics people can consider like Slumdog Millionaire. It's on a different level. Like, they're well-made films with really good stories, but you don't know if they're going to stick around. Slumdog, Brokeback Mountain, movies like that where...
But I forgot about Slumdog in 10 years.
Yeah?
Like, it's not going to...
I remember it, though. Like, but you have to see it first,
but
you
like,
know?
What are you going to remember more, Back to the Future or Slumdog Millionaire? Like, we haven't had something like that.
Well, you also have to say, like, Hollywood, everything's been done already. That's also something. It's not like we can just have all these original things now because a lot of ideas have already been taken. Like, that's just the way it is. Do a time travel? Oh, it's always going to be compared to Back to the Future. there's just elements of like sci-fi
Yeah.
or movies like.
And I think that's such a challenge nowadays. It's like, I mean, no one really tapped with dreams, and that's why Inception holds so steady. And it's like, it's just kind of sad to see that Hollywood's kind of run dry with original ideas.
Yeah.
And it really makes me sad that we haven't been able to see like a definitive classic movie that people will always remember in at least our recent time. And like even Avatar I wouldn't consider one.
Yeah. We haven't had a classic mob movie in a while.
Yeah.
Like if you want to say The Departed, I mean, it's a different style. But
that's not even Scorsese's best.
No, it's not his best. Like I like it though because of you're more Ben Affleck fan than Matt Damon. I'm more a Matt Damon fan than Ben Affleck, but I still love both.
Yeah, same.
And,
like The Martian's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a big born.
Even Ridley Scott has like The Martian's good, but The Martian's not as good as Blade Runner.
Yeah, The Martian to me is not a modern classic. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, and I think that makes me kind of sad. It's like I wish that we had kind of more like active movies nowadays, and it's kind of sad that we just don't get these stuff that we will always remember. And maybe you're right, it is a sign of the times. It is a fact that Hollywood has been making remakes of the stuff that we're used to knowing, but that really needs to calm down. And I honestly would rather see a sequel than a remake.
Oh yeah, true.
Like I'd rather see the
story progression.
Iron Man 5 would be better than the Ghostbusters remake.
I'd consider 12 Years a Slave a classic personally, just because of the effect it has on the audience and how it, represented history. And like the war films always get all the credit. Like people love American Sniper, but to me, 12 Years a Slave is really what people should see, not American Sniper.
But like I even think 12 Years a Slave was kind of swept under the bus by Django because everyone had such an interesting take on Django.
Yeah, Django. It's a flashy movie. It's not historically accurate by any means. 12 Years a Slave was.
What would you say about Iñárritu and his further impact? Like, do you think we will remember The Revenant and Birdman?
It depends. For DiCaprio, we'll remember Revenant. If it wasn't for DiCaprio, that movie would not have been as big. It's beautiful. There's nothing to be anything like it ever again. The natural lighting, cinematography.
Yeah.
But to me, the story hinders it so much that I don't think it's going to be remembered. I also don't like Birdman.
You don't think? Yeah.
I was much more of a fan of Boyhood in that year where they went.
I was really
head to
upset.
head. To me, Boyhood won't probably be remembered as a classic because it's for our generation. For us, we were the age of that kid growing up.
You see him playing with his Game Boy Advance.
So much. Yeah, and you can just see the different how he grew up compared to me.
Yeah,
and
no matter what, our generation can connect with him. I mean, even if we don't have divorced parents or lived in the same Texas little area there, we grew up the same technology and the same stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the same way if someone watches that movie, say 20 years from now, 30, but you can still appreciate it for what it is. There's nothing like that going to be made where
definitely
it took 15 years to make that.
And I think it's interesting how I feel like the Oscars kind of it used to reflect somewhat of what a classic movie will be, like Ben-Hur, Oscar, but
Gladiator, that was 2000.
Gladiator, but it's then you take The King's Speech winning over Inception. People remember Inception in 20 years. No one's going to remember The King's Speech.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Crash in 2006 to Brokeback Mountain.
I love Hurt Locker, but no one's going to remember Hurt Locker.
Nah.
It just isn't, it's not Apocalypse Now and stuff like that. It's just, it doesn't, Bridge of Spies, no one's going to remember that.
No one's going to.
And even Room, which was such a good movie, people will forget about Room. And it's just kind of sad that movies like that just don't get the recognition. I think, interestingly, the animated world is something that
Toy Story 3.
People are cranking out these stuff.
Those can be considered classics.
And even Inside Out, I probably will hold tight for so long. And even stuff that Disney's moving out, even stuff that is being turned out by DreamWorks.
Yeah, these are, compared to Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, those things to Frozen, I guess girls will like them just as much in the future.
And I think that, honestly, the new Jungle Book might hold steady.
Yeah? Did you know they announced the sequel, Jungle Book 2?
That kind of makes me sad because I feel
I don't think Favreau's doing it.
Oh, it's not going to be good then.
No, I trust him a lot.
And I think that, I want people to watch that Jungle Book forever.
Yeah.
I think it should stick as a classic because I'd be interesting to see if people are still talking about the Jungle Book when Jungle Book 2 comes out.
They probably will.
Jungle Book, it was so good. It is one of those ones that when I'm in 20 years from now, when I have kids, I want them to watch the Jungle Book. I want to show them that because it's just that incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't really see though other movies like that. And I think the animated world definitely has like people will remember Frozen.
Yeah, people remember Frozen.
Like it's annoying.
Not me, but
it's annoying, but like people will. Like
I just thought it was good.
It was, and I think, but like people remember Beauty and the Beast very well and Little
Yeah.
Mermaid, and I think Frozen's one of those now.
Yeah, it probably is.
It's like it's this generation's one, and that's kind of an interesting thing. Is like what this generation's living now. What will they remember?
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, they'll probably remember the new Ghostbusters.
Christopher Nolan. He's got to make another one.
He's making a war movie next.
He is.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson is. Have you seen like a movie? He's doing a war film with Andrew Garfield in it, and looks a little interesting. I'm not a big Andrew Garfield fan, but
yeah,
but
I don't know.
I don't know. I like Mel Gibson's directing from like 15 years ago.
I don't like him. I like him in movies.
I don't like. Yeah, no, he's a charismatic actor, but that's what I like him for.
All right. Well, we have a lot of there's some interesting news has come out lately.
Yeah.
2 big trailers dropped in the last week. The third X-Men Apocalypse trailer and the trailer for Snowden. So let's start with Snowden. What'd you think about that? Have you seen it?
I saw it. I was like, all right, this is a generic like ish story. I know it's a real, but I was like, he finishes a 3-hour test in a half an hour.
There's not.
I was like, of course. That's the most like bland. Yeah, he's a genius. He does all this stuff like that. Things like that annoy me in movies where they have to make the guy seem like such a brainiac. Like maybe it was true, but
were you creeped out by it? Were you creeped out or annoyed by his accent?
I wasn't creeped out by it. It was just silly.
It's like after watching The Walk, I'm like, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He tries to do all these different things, and
it's like, come on, just go back to Inception. You were so good in that.
Yeah, keep doing you. But now he's
like,
you know.
I get he's trying to get himself out of that character actor, but I kind of liked that character actor.
Yeah, me too.
He was fine being that kind of like good-looking, smart guy.
Yeah,
and like I don't know. I'm on the fence with Snowden because I'm worried it's gonna end up like The Walk, and it's gonna not. I think it's trying to throw out a message that we already know, and that
people are gonna see it though. People love those kind of films.
Yeah, and I mean, it did get me to do what I think it was looking out to do. I looked up like more information about Edward Snowden after watching the trailer, but I don't know how much that reflects the movie itself.
In the trailer, they show the Rubik's Cube thing. That's going to be a huge part of the movie.
Yeah.
So that got spoiled. Like, we know he's going to have to go in and hack and like...
And like, that was a really cool... See, like, I'll admit that Rubik's Cube thing was cool. And
I was
really,
like, that's a little silly, but I guess it worked. I don't know.
It was interesting. I just wish that they had saved that.
He just throws it to the guard. I'm like...
It's cool. Like, it shows this established relationship.
It's like Dope. Did you see Dope?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do that, something like that. But
it's like, come on, dude. They should have saved that.
Yep. They should.
All right. And then the other big one, the third and final X-Men Apocalypse trailer. Now, I really liked this.
I'm annoyed, though, that Mystique is such a huge part of it. And I'm pretty sure it's just because of Jennifer Lawrence's star power. She's in, like, half the trailer, in, like, all the trailers. And Mystique's character in the comics was never in it that much. Like, it's just because it's Jennifer Lawrence, and that's annoying to me.
Yeah, and I don't think she's doing so well. It seems she's kind of phoning it in.
Yeah.
Which,
I don't know.
That makes me kind of sad. And it's like, really? Like, this is going to be...
She's gotten to this point now where she just, like, it's all about, like, her cockiness and everything, and it's a little annoying, but...
outside of that, what do you think of the overall trailer? Because I thought I'm excited. I thought this was one of the better of them. I think it had a very different vibe than the last
I've always been excited for this. And then Wolverine's claws at the end, that made it.
It felt like an even cheaper version of the Spider-Man thing at the end of the Civil War trailer.
Yeah, but X-Men, Wolverine is just awesome. So I'll give him a pass for anything.
And it was interesting because this seemed like a very, a very stuck in time in the movie. So it feels like Wolverine's not going to just, like, make this little cameo. I feel like he's actually going to be important in it. Yeah, somewhat. Not like Days of Future Past level important, but like he's going to serve an actual role in it.
I just love these films because you got Fassbender and McAvoy.
Great.
Even though Lawrence, but those two, they like carry the dramatic moments.
And they're great.
Yeah, Fassbender's looking good with his evilness coming back. And then you got Quicksilver.
Oh my gosh, he looks awesome.
He does.
And McAvoy, like, my worry with it is that he's going to disappear and not be a part of the movie. Because, like, we see in the trailer that he gets abducted by the Four Horsemen. And, like, that's good. But on the other hand, you're leaving the team to Mystique. And, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress, but she did seem like she was phoning it in. And I don't want her to be the one phoning it in. Like, if the guy who's playing Cyclops phoned it in, oh well. But, like, I'm worried that they're going to take McAvoy out, this guy who's so dedicated to this role, and leave Jennifer Lawrence in it. And I think that might hurt it, and people will start being like, uh-oh, what's going on with this like younger version of the X-Men? And that's not McAvoy or the other guy, Fassbender's fault.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac, I have faith in. I think.
I think
he looks a little silly, but I like Nicholas Hoult as Beast always. He's a good actor. That's the thing. Like, him as Beast is going to be in it like half as much as Mystique, even though Beast is more important. Like,
And a better.
He's smarter, more intelligent. Like, I get, Mystique for action scenes, but...
I'm very interested in seeing what the new Storm will be like.
And Cyclops?
Psylocke.
He looks young.
Psylocke looks awesome.
Psylocke.
Jubilee.
Channing Tatum's in it?
Rumor has it that Taylor Swift is in it.
Really?
Yeah, she's
I
playing.
didn't know Tatum was in it, but
that's interesting. I think with all this news about the casting, like there's been rumors that either Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga is in this, playing an X-Men, and I think like if so, they're leaving a lot out that we don't know yet, and that's kind of got me interested. Like, what are they not telling us?
Lady Gaga is dating Bradley Cooper. Well, little fun fact. I don't know if the date, but have you seen the trailer for War Dogs?
Yes, I have. I watched it, I think, after a couple of shows ago when you recommended it.
Yeah, that's a Miles Teller and Jonah Hill.
That looks so
Jonah Hill
funny.
got huge for this, but I think it's for the character, so I'm like really excited.
I think that looks interesting. It looks
funny.
It looks very Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Only like I think you have a little more like buddy cop.
Yeah.
Type of thing going on.
I'm interested to see Miles Teller after the last thing I saw him in was.
It's a Todd Phillips film.
What else did he do?
Hangover.
Oh, there we go.
Road Trip.
Did he do
School.
Hangover too?
He did all of them.
Oh.
Old School. He did Project X. Like he does some. Like,
I liked Project X.
He does a lot of dirty film, but
the Hangover sequel is not my favorite.
He's usually funny with original movies.
Yeah,
like
which is why this might be good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
They did have a name change, which is why I didn't know about it at first because it had some other different name, and then they changed to War Dogs, which is probably good because the last one they did the last name was like really unrememberable.
I like the name War Dogs.
Yeah, it sounds good. Based
on true story.
Yeah. All right. Another big thing that came out was the new Disney movie slate. So Disney dropped basically their 2019 slate. So first of all, what do you think about movies dropping their 2019 slate? Like, what the heck? That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here is the movie slate.
I know they have to, prepare, but
also, a lot of them,
we have to know about it.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
question.
Come on, please. We're kind of losing that thing with the whole 10 Cloverfield Lane dropped the trailer with no one knowing it 2 months before the movie came out.
Tinkerbell Project.
Ugh.
Oh, these are a lot of classics.
Yep, they're continuing with their
sequel
live
to Mary
action.
Poppins. Okay.
The Jungle Cruise.
Dwayne The Rock. He's doing so many.
American Treasure. I don't know about that. It's interesting. They're doing a 101 Dalmatians kind of version of the Angelina Jolie Maleficent movie.
Yeah.
And then they're doing a sequel to Maleficent.
I didn't know that made that much money, Maleficent.
I guess don't want a sequel to it.
I didn't see it.
I'd rather them do another live action
Dumbo with Tim Burton directing.
I know. That looks interesting.
Oh no.
Like,
Tim Burton's not my favorite guy.
But that might be cool. It's going to be very weird, to say the least.
Yeah, we got the new Alice in Wonderland coming out.
He didn't direct that.
No, he didn't.
He produced it.
That was so much longer. Like, that was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago that the other one came out.
I didn't like the other one. I don't like most Tim Burton movies.
It was really long ago, though, like 2011 or something like that.
And now we get this new sequel, which looks a little interesting.
That no one asked for.
Yep, most of these are like, no one asked for.
Cruella with Emma Stone.
Emma Stone as a villain. But like as the Maleficent kind of villain, like here's
she's
the other
one of those actresses that like she did The Help, but like I don't know how much of her range is, so maybe she'll surprise me with this. I'm like,
I think she's honestly pretty good. She looks like my friend Caroline.
She's really good with like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in her roles, but
don't push her outside of that.
Yeah, like there's some actors who have their bubble. Like, and then there's some that can break it, like Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a good-looking guy.
He doesn't even have a bubble.
He could have easily gotten typecast. Ryan Gosling doesn't get typecast.
Adam Sandler gets typecast.
Well, he's another story.
I can't wait till we have that. Yeah,
he moved over to Netflix films.
Ooh, maybe that's better.
That David Spade movie looks interesting. Well, I actually think the trailer looks fine.
The Nutcracker movie.
I mean, I've never been a big fan of the
What
story.
do you think of Tomorrowland?
I didn't see Tomorrowland.
You didn't really miss much.
No, yeah, I didn't hear that much about it.
It was original. That was something that I liked. Like, it was really original.
Was it pretty.
Yeah, it looked good.
Because it cost a lot of money.
It wasn't like I won't remember it. Like I forgot about it. But like I'm worried the Jungle Cruise will end up like that. But who knows? Honestly,
Yeah, they're just making movies
based off of rides, and then we're gonna get Jungle Cruise 1 through 4. What do you think about the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean?
It has to happen. I hope it. I just don't want to leave the other one like sour in my mouth. I hope they like sandwich the movies. They have the beginning.
What do you think of 4?
I didn't like it.
I didn't either. I loved the first 3. I loved the trilogy. I think it was solid. I think they were great with it. And then they decided to ditch all of the main characters except for Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
And it just like, come on, that wasn't the Jack Sparrow for me. Wasn't the reason the
There's
Pirates
been so
movies
many
were
other
good.
Jack Sparrow. Like Johnny Depp
plays Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
in
And
everything.
aside from Black Mass, like
I
his
wish-
past like 5 films have just been Jack Sparrow. Only
was
different.
it Mordecai? He played Jack Sparrow. Lone Ranger. He plays Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. The one with the vampire that he played.
Dark Shadows.
Yeah, he was just like
Another
quirky.
TV show that did not need a remake, and that remake was terrible.
Yeah, he doesn't do good projects, but he gets paid a lot for them. So
I want him to do what he did in Black Mass more, like because he's the Mad Hatter, and he plays Jack Sparrow as the Mad Hatter, and he was Willy Wonka, and he played Jack Sparrow as Willy Wonka.
That was a weird character.
It's like, come on, dude, you can. He's proven just recently with Black Mass that he can do a really good job, and he's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see him be a better actor. All right. So the Disney movie slate, interesting. I think Jungle Cruise, it will either be something people will instantly forget, or it might be a Pirates of the Caribbean-like movie.
Mm-hmm. The Rock is doing a lot. He's doing the Baywatch.
Yep.
He's starting that.
They finally got Pamela Anderson on board with that.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing that I heard actually in the Screen Junkies movie fights was the talk that people are kind of upset about Jared Leto's Joker kind of being a cultural appropriation of stuff. Like, that's kind of taking on kind of this like culture that Joker was never in. Because Joker's kind of this like, he's a very white character, as we know, but he's kind of this, Jared Leto's character is kind of like with the grills and with the like, the fact he drives a lowrider car, he's kind of taking on this like Latino gangster kind of thing. And some people are kind of upset about that. What is your thoughts on that?
I mean, he just looks very cartoonish to me, and I guess like The Mask.
Yes.
Right? He's coming off very Mask-like. And The Mask did stuff like that, where he was very, pimp-like in his suit and doing all the flamboyant stuff. And he had like low cars and stuff like that. So I just think he's really hamming it up. And that just means give him like interesting like gadgets to play with.
Yeah.
And props. Like he's practically, Joker's a clown, but he's being like a clown.
I mean, stuff like this isn't that like uncommon. Like, people are over like head over heels right now with the fact that they cast a white actor to play the Asian character in Doctor Strange. And like, people are forgetting the fact that they casted a female actor to play this, which is already pretty progressive in the fact that, but like, I think, would you say that there is an issue with whitewashing in movies?
I think to a point, yes. Like, I do. If a character is made to be a certain way, you should find actors to play that character. That being said, if you have someone, like if you have a director, like let's say Oliver Stone, okay?
Yeah.
You have Oliver Stone. Your favorite actor to work with, whoever it is, like let's say Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
And you want to get him in a movie. And the character doesn't fit him perfectly, but you can still see him do a variety of that character. You have the right to get Martin Sheen. Like, that's what I think. I think it's up to who's making the movie. If they know someone who they have a relationship with, that they like working with, they think they can do the character, go for it. Even if it's not the original, you can still make it good. But Hollywood has an issue with whitewashing. It happens. And it is a problem because there are so many talented people who don't get work or don't star in movies. They just get the supporting roles, and it's frustrating for them. Like Cuba Gooding Jr., he had like those supporting roles, Show Me the Money, but he never had that defining like lead role. And someone like that, there's a lot of those. So,
and I think people are attacking the wrong people, because both David Ayer with Suicide Squad and the Marvel Universe in general has been incredibly progressive with casting. I mean, yes, the Avengers are all white, which is something that is an issue. But like
Black Panther's coming.
There you go. But like they have like Ant-Man. Ant-Man, you cast Scott Lang, he's Paul Rudd, but like
though.
Was the best part of Ant-Man. That was easily Michael Pena. He was so funny, and I think that we need more of that, and we need a character like Michael Pena in a lead role. And so people are getting upset over a Asian actor being cast as a white woman. I don't think that that's something they should be upset
No.
about. I think if suddenly they cast Black Panther as a white guy, that would be something you should be up in arms about.
I don't think that's the point, I think it's like if they do the character good.
Yeah, and like in Doctor Strange, we're gonna have Chiwetel Ejiofor as not Baron Zemo. I don't remember his character's name. I'll probably know it next year when we see the movie. But that was a white character that they cast Chiwetel Ejiofor, and they casted Chiwetel Ejiofor because he was the best for it.
You got to think about it though. Like Jamie Foxx, he's a great actor, but he has not had a leading role since Django Unchained, like 5 years ago.
Bad.
There's just not many projects that have like a character that he needs, like to be a big blockbuster hit. I don't know if that's Hollywood screenwriters. I don't know if that's the marketing, but there's something there that like he has one role in 5 years, and then you have other actors who like just pop him out.
Yeah, and I mean, we definitely saw that with. There is, I think, somewhat of an issue in Hollywood. I mean, we saw that with Oscars So White, and I kind of agree with that there was a lot of.
You have to nominate. Like, there were so many movies.
And, like, people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't just nominate because it's an African-American director. Well, the thing is, these are really good directors, and there are people looking over them. It's not like, I think that there is an issue with the fact that Ryan Coogler didn't get a director nomination, and it wasn't because he's African American. Is like the fact that he made a really, really good movie, and the reason it was good because of his directing, and no one gave him any credit for it.
Yep, Michael B. Jordan. I loved him in Creed.
He was one of the standout roles for that. But in that movie, the only white guy nominated was Sylvester Stallone. While he definitely deserved the nomination and deserved the win.
Yeah.
There was so much more of that movie that needed to be nominated, and it wasn't.
Yep.
And it wasn't. It shouldn't have been it should have been nominated for how good the movie was. And like that's something that really Straight Outta Compton needed more than just that screenwriting award. All right, so we've come to that point where we're kind of wrapping up the show. So we've got we want to talk about maybe this weekend. How's the box office looking?
All right, well, carrying over from last week, The Jungle Book in its third week is still number one by far.
Good.
It made $42 million, which is only down 31%, which is an excellent hold. Its total is now $252 million, and on a budget of 175, not counting worldwide. It's raking it in. No wonder they're making a sequel already.
And it's good. It deserves to get that much money.
Yep. The Huntsman, second week, $9 million.
That should be making. That should be making less, honestly.
Could be worse, but it's only made 34, and its budget's 115. So I think this is the last one in that franchise.
That's not something I'm upset about.
Unless in Britain, I don't know, makes a ton. Keanu in his first week, getting good reviews out there, Key and Peele fans. I wanted to see it. Couldn't. Made $9.3 million, which, it's a small budget, but got to be a little disappointed. I thought it would have made more. Mother's Day was a horrible comedy with Jen Aniston.
Just like super forgettable.
Yeah, but it made $8 million. That's not like a total bump.
What are some of the stuff like? What's The Boss sitting at right now?
The Boss is sitting at a total of 56, but it made $4 million this week, which is not much. Ratchet and Clank made $5 million.
That's kind of sad that made...
I think that had a big budget. You had John Goodman and Paul Giamatti as the...
They were in that?
They were the two guys, and I'm assuming they didn't do it for free, so...
Yeah, that's kind of sad. What about what did you say was Keanu?
Keanu was 9.3.
Okay, that's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
I'm hearing good things about it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
For all I've said, I'm not a big Key and Peele fan, but I think Key and Peele fans and other people will like this.
Yeah, I want to see it. I
definitely do. So VOD kind of Blu-ray releases. For the Blu-ray release next week, there's two, Joy and The Fifth Wave. Not really. I mean, I know a lot about Joy. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard a lot about it.
I didn't hear those that great, but
I mean, it got Oscar.
It got Jennifer Lawrence Oscar buzz.
Like that's something. That's more than The Fifth Wave did.
That director just loves her, David O. Russell.
Yeah,
he literally just makes roles for her.
You know what? Props to him. Those are the roles I'd rather see her in than.
I didn't like her in American Hustle though. I thought she just played a caricature of herself, and it was a little annoying. Then she won an Oscar for it, which I was like, "What?"
Did he direct?
He did Silver Linings.
Okay,
that movie I love.
And like okay, yeah, maybe she wasn't the best in American Hustle, but I like her doing that than her phoning it in with the Hunger Games movies.
Yeah,
like those last ones, she was not good in.
The big budget ones.
I liked her in the first two, but she phoned it in for both the Mockingjays. And I'd rather see her in these smaller movies where she can shine instead of those bigger ones where she just is a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I'm worried. It's same thing we're talking about. Worried about Apocalypse is like, oh no, Jennifer Lawrence phoning it in again. and they're centering it so much around her because she's got such this star power. And then the fifth wave. Yeah, I don't really care much about this movie.
No.
If you liked it, go out and get it on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna stop you guys. The trailers looked kind of good when it first came out, and then it kind of did exactly what we expected, and was just another teen
crappy
movie.
romance.
Yeah.
But
and like, I don't know, kind of forgettable. Not kind of, very forgettable. Another one of those times. Do you think people need to stop doing this, like taking a teen book, making it a movie?
I don't think they need to stop it, but it's definitely not working the way they're doing it. Like, if they just make it better.
Like the Divergent movies.
Yeah, like the first one could have been fine, but they're
giving it any props. The source material.
They didn't put
isn't that
any
great.
effort into the sequel.
But like, do you think that there's kind of an issue with source material here? Like, do you feel that maybe it's not just
there's
the movie?
problems with the plot. Yeah, I feel that's the way. Like, for every Harry Potter, there's 20 that fail.
Like, the Harry Potter movies were very well written, and
very well directed, and
so they had a lot of good stuff going for it. But like, I honestly, from what I've heard from people said, Divergent was exactly like the book, and if that was exactly like the book, I don't want to read the book. All right. For video on demand, we have actually some more interesting movies. Zoolander #2.
Didn't see it. I skipped it.
I skipped that too on purpose. How to Be Single. Also skipped that.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah. Interesting. Then the one I'm actually very happy that's coming out finally. The Witch. We saw The Witch.
Yeah. It was good.
Definitely one of the better horror movies I've seen in a long time.
It was weird.
Very under your skin. Very twisty. Kind of thriller-like.
Yeah, it was thriller-like.
But definitely a horror movie.
Yeah.
If you're a horror fan, watch this. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, horror movie fans will like it more than normal fans. And, I'm interested that's coming out. But I think the VOD this week is definitely a little bit more stronger than the Blu-ray releases.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are waiting for the upcoming Blu-ray release of Deadpool, which was coming out soon. That's already on demand, video on demand. So if you don't want to wait for that, you can just get it on video on demand. And then here's the big one. What's coming out next week?
Nothing else except one.
And
that is Captain America Civil War.
Captain America Civil War is being hailed as the best Spider-Man movie.
I like to call it. What? No.
Yeah, people are saying it's the best Spider-Man.
That's a lie.
Have you seen
Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
Have you seen it?
If you're going to keep making accusations like that, I'm going to skip it, okay?
Oh, you can't.
Spider-Man 2 is fantastic.
You're going to be, if you skip this movie, if anybody here skips this movie.
Doc Ock is fantastic.
Okay, but we're not talking about Spider-Man 2 right now. We're talking about Civil War.
Hey, it's not a Spider-Man movie.
He
just comes in.
And he's supposed to be very good.
Yeah. But no, it's Avengers 3, okay?
It's going to be better than Avengers 2.
Avengers 2.5. The do-over.
Real Avengers 2. The good one.
Yes, this is it. This is the big one.
I'm very, very excited for this. I did not do what I said I would, and I did not start my Marvel marathon. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's too much. The Captain America movies, this is going to make the trilogy. It's one of the best trilogies.
Yeah.
Not like of all time, but
like the first one's not.
It's good.
It's
Iron Man is the first one's good.
It's
second
the reverse.
one's not good.
The second
one is meh.
No, I thought it the other way around. I think second's meh. Third one's bleh.
The third one was fine. But the second one was just disappointing because you had such high hopes.
Well, the hopes were too high. Whereas the other way around came with Captain America. The hopes were low because of the first movie, and then the second one blows you out of the water. I'm very happy about the Russo brothers. I think they're very good, and I'm actually kind of curious, post-Infinity War, what's going to happen with them.
Yeah. The action's going to be amazing in this. Winter Soldier's action was maybe the best in the series.
About who they got to help them with the action?
Who?
Directors of John Wick.
Oh, okay.
Very good movie.
I like John Wick.
John Wick,
Give me my dog.
A very good action movie.
Is Keanu going to be in it?
Maybe. It's just see Key and Peele show up as like two random Marvel characters.
That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious. All right, so that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Not tomorrow. Next week will be our last show of this semester.
It flew.
Yeah, I love doing this. It's sad that we had that long intermission, but Matt will not be joining us next semester.
I'm going to London.
Instead, we will have Josh Nolan on as as my secondary co-host, and then in the spring of next year, all three of us will be together.
I'll be back.
It will be a very, very different show, and I'm very excited to see how we evolve. But thank you, everybody who's been listening so far. If you haven't already, like us on Facebook. If you have missed any of the shows and want to re-listen to them, they are on www.wjrh.org to listen to. all the recorded ones, even today's show. And yeah, next week I'm guessing we'll probably just talk Civil War.
Yeah.
We will probably be doing a spoiler section. So if you don't want to know the spoilers for this movie, please during that time we will give some kind of a signal to pause or like a time frame. And but we will be doing spoiler-free reviews at first. But if you want to listen to our spoiler review, please go see it this coming weekend, because we'd love for you guys to hear to hear us about it.
Team Cap all the way.
Team Iron Man all the way. So this will be a very interesting show. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week.
Yes, have a good week, everyone.